and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. As the nights are drawing in, summer's drawing to a close, it's probably just about the right time now to try a cold smoke. And it's something we've never done before in the shack, so we're going to be trying to smoke some cheese. We've got our trusty cold smoking tube here, and we've got some very strong, very piquant blue roquefort cheese. We've got some Gran Padano, which is essentially parmesan. We've got some cream cheese, and we've got some cheddar, but not just any cheddar. We've got some cheddar that was gifted to us by a very good friend of the shack, very generous, very thoughtful person. She was down in Cheddar on a day trip, and she thought, you know what, I'm going to get the pit wizard some cheddar from Cheddar. It's been aged in a cave, and you can't beat cheddar, can you? So, shout out to our friend of the shack. I'm not going to name you just in case you don't want to be named, but you know who you are. Thank you very much. So we are going to be using, as I mentioned, cold smoking tube. We're going to be using our trusty Masterbuilt as our low oxygen environment to keep that smoke flavour in, and for that smoke flavour we're going to be going with our robust blend Ninja Woodfire pellets. We know these taste good. Well, you'll know that we know these taste good. Alright, ice cream man, seriously? You've got some hickory in there, you've got some cherry, you've got some maple, and you've got some oak. Now that first flavour element, hickory, we're going to be amplifying with these wood chips. So, in much the same way as you would with a hopper, I'm dropping in a bunch of charcoal and then some wood chunks, or charcoal and chunks and there and like that. We're going to be doing the same principle here, obviously on a microcosm. Bunch of pellets, some hickory, chips, bunch of pellets, hickory chips, etc, etc. So, let's get into our robust blend pellets. What I'm going to do now is just about a handful. Get these in basically. There might be a more efficient way of doing this, there might be a more elegant way of doing this. As I say, this is a first for the smoke shack, so please stand by. And our cheese smoking beer today is Steam Brew. It's an IPA. It's quite light actually. It tastes almost lagery. Kind of looks like this. And it kind of goes with everything, so why not pair it with cheese? Cheers. Right. So that's our tube full. Okay. Yeah. So now in the Masterbuilt, as you've seen, the tube is just getting the smoky environment in there. Let's get our cheese out. So, first of all, blue roquefort. A little cheese nappy coming off.
Nice, dirty.
And actually, rather that is, whoa, that's got some aroma. So rather than,
That is honking.
good God, that smells like death.
Okay,
So-
that's a bit extreme.
Let's get it over onto the Masterbuilt immediately. Need to put that on straight away. Oh, wow, goodness me. Yeah, smoke is only going to improve that aroma. So next we're going to go in with our cream cheese. Things are getting messy already.
That's great.
Okay, so these guys have been wrapped in grease-proof paper, as you can see, and we let them sit in our fridge for about, I think it's been about 3 days, just to really let that smoke flavour really get into that cheese. So, I can tell you already, it smells awesome. I mean, smoked cheese always smells awesome. So we've got tons of ideas for what we're going to cook with these, so do make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit notifications, so every time we do a new recipe with these cheeses, you'll be alerted if cheese is your thing. But now we want to taste them just completely unadulterated, not even a cracker, not even a bit of chutney. Just try the cheeses as they are to really appreciate what that smoking process has done to their flavours. So let's start with some parmesan. And obviously you don't eat parmesan in chunks, you eat it in shavings normally. So let's just take a few off here. So I'm going to taste this, and then Mrs. Wizard was going to do a taste test here, but she hasn't done her hair, so she'll be doing a taste test off camera, but on mic, so you get to hear her honest reactions, because she's my palate's quite broad, quite wide. I tend to like most things. Some may say Mrs. Wizard is a little bit more discerning, and certainly very honest in her opinions. So I just want to see what she thinks of these as well. But this is my opinion, so cheers on the parmesan. So I love that. That's awesome. It's really been mellowed out by that smoking process, but it's really amplified those kind of salty, funky flavours as well. So it's like it's been lent a kind of refinement by being smoked. It's got more complexity, but less upfront flavour. Everything's more balanced and more rounded. So that'll be delicious on lasagna. That'll be really nice on pizza, actually. You can even pop it on your chili. Anywhere where you would add just a sprinkling of cheese at the end to enhance them, you know, a lot of Italian dishes certainly. That is like parmesan with its big boy pants on.
Hi.
Definitely a win on that front, is my opinion. But now I'm going to hand over the mic to Mrs. Wizard and get her honest opinion. So, Mrs. Wizard, here's your So giving this to Mrs. Wizard.
Tiny piece.
Tiny piece. It's parmesan. You don't need too much, so
Okay.
a taste and...
Ooh. Wow, that's got a hell of a smoke flavour on it. I really like that. Because I'm not a big fan of smoked cheese, which is weird. You doing that, but no, I really like that. Can I have another piece, please?
Well, there we go. Just 1 second. So that's definitely a good sign.
Yeah. Ooh. It's really improved the parmesan.
So I 100% agree with Mrs. Wizard. It's like a huge upgrade. It's almost like a different product.
Yeah.
And so it's much more rounded. It's just much more balanced, and it's just got more delicious complexity. And parmesan on its own, obviously, as I'm sure you know, is a delicious, quite a complex cheese. As I said, this is just next level. Moving on, we're now going to try our smoked blue cheese.
Yeah, this one.
Now this has definitely got the most noticeable aroma. I'll keep on the knife there. So, and actually I don't want to point my knife at you guys, so I'll take it off the knife. It's a little bit weird. Cheers. Yeah, that real funky blue flavour is definitely there. That's really interesting. When I first tried it, my initial thoughts were, the smoke's not really taken. There's not much of a smoke flavour. Then, all of a sudden, a wave of smoke comes in, and it actually lends a bitterness to it, which offsets the kind of inherent sweetness that does come with blue cheeses, including this one, roquefort. And it's actually quite a pleasant experience. Again, it's a level of complexity I wasn't expecting. Then the blue cheese is back, and it's just like, oh, it's like, you know, this is a blue cheese mouthfeel again. This is really pleasant, but not particularly smoky. And the smoke comes back again at the end, and you're left with that kind of slightly bitter smoke on the back of your palate. So again, it's just enhanced the complexity of what is already quite a complex cheese. And it's only really done it for the better, in my opinion. The difference isn't as pronounced as it was in the parmesan, but it's definitely there. And again, that's definitely pleasant. I'm definitely enjoying it. But let's see what our taste tester extraordinaire, Mrs. Wizard, thinks of this.
That's one I'm looking forward to.
So there you go, Mrs. Wizard. Put that off the knife. Hang on, let me get the mic. So Mrs. Wizard has been looking forward to this one the most, so let's see what she thinks.
Okay. I can't really get much smoke on that. No, it's coming. No, okay. It's coming through. And that is delicious. But it was a great product to start with. Mm-hmm. So it has... I can really taste the smoke on the parmesan, but not so much on that. That's a bit more subtle.
So I agree with Mrs. Wizard again. It's the smoke does come in stages. It's not present throughout the entire experience, and it is less pronounced than on the parmesan. I don't know if that's because the blue cheese is actually just a lot stronger flavour. Having said that, parmesan's pretty strong. But yeah, certainly the blue cheese flavour is definitely prominent. And if you gave me that and didn't tell me it was smoked blue cheese, I'd know there was something different about it being roquefort, but I wouldn't necessarily go for smoked.
No.
There's added complexity again,
definitely.
But it's not pronounced. It's quite subtle.
I do think that as well with some biscuits, like a sort of cheese board, but also I think that would really work nicely in a fondue.
Yeah, I agree with Mrs. Wizard. That would be nice in a fondue. Got a few plans for this, so as I said, make sure you subscribe, hit notifications. You're going to want to see what we do with this. It's going to be really good. Cool. Okay, so moving on, I think we ought to try the cheddar next. Okay, so we're going in for what I'm most looking forward to trying now. This is the cheddar from Cheddar. This is our cave-aged, mature cheddar cheese, purchased and given to us by, as I said, our very good friend of the shack. If you're watching, thank you very much. So, I already love the way that's cutting. Cheers. Yes, that is amazing. It's got that really deep, rich, mature cheddar cheese flavour. And first of all, you get a little bit of sweetness from the smoke. It's definitely a smoky sweetness. That's what comes in to start with. And then after a second or two, it's suddenly a really deep, rich smokiness that just really enhances all those cheesy flavours. And then the mature cheddar flavour, it's still tingling on my palate now, actually comes through and pushes through that smoke. And then that's what you're left with at the back of your palate on the end. Just a really nice, mature cheddar cheese flavour. That's fantastic. I'm really, really happy with the way that's turned out. Obviously we know this cheese is going to be fantastic anyway, but the smoke's really again done something extra to it, just brought a level of complexity and just really enhanced it. Very happy with that. That's so good actually that it almost seems criminal to add it to a sauce or anything. That just was some biscuits, maybe a chutney, but I don't really even think it needs that. As unadulterated as possible is how you want to enjoy that cheese. That said, we've got a few ideas for this, so again, watch this space. Let's see what Mrs. Wizard thinks. Giving this Mrs. Wizard's opinion of the cave aged mature cheddar cheese with hickory smoke.
Oh my god, yeah, that is amazing. Yeah, I could just basically eat all of that.
Yes. Thank you for not doing so, because we need to do another recipe.
Oh no, that was really lovely. And again, I'm not a big fan of smoked cheese, but it's just enhanced it, I think, and just improved the flavour of what it was before.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with Mrs. Wizard. There's not much else to say other than that's amazing. It is just really good.
It's delicious.
It's like next level cheddar. And again, something Mrs. Wizard actually pointed out is she's not really a big fan of smoked cheese. I mean, I am, but I can see why she's saying that even though she doesn't like smoked cheese, she is liking these, because there is something quite different about smoking your own cheese. I know you can get it in supermarkets. If you go to your local artisanal deli, you're probably going to get something fairly similar to this. But smoking it yourself is a lot of fun, it's not too difficult, and you get the best results. So if you can do it, I highly recommend it.
I do think smoked cheese from a supermarket as well, there's something artificial about the smoke. It doesn't taste the same, but it's subtle. But it brings something to the actual original product.
Again, I think Mrs. was right in saying there can be an artificiality in supermarket cheeses when they're smoked, because sometimes they aren't necessarily smoked. They have additives added to them to make them taste smoked, to give them that kind of smoky flavour. Not in all cases, but certainly I've had experiences where that has been the case. When you do it yourself, when you do it at home, you know exactly what you get, and you can control the amount of smoke you want, control the cheeses you're using, everything from, you know, how much wood you put in the hopper through to how long you rest it in the fridge. The longer you rest it in the fridge, the more pronounced the flavour is going to be. And as I said, I find the optimal is about 48 to 72 hours. So let's move on to the cream cheese.
Well, just going back to that, I think that would make a really amazing croque monsieur.
I agree with Mrs. Wizard, that would make a delicious croque monsieur, because the main
on
flavour
toast.
in the croque is going to be your cheese. So yeah, it would really stand out and kind of sing in a croque monsieur, or just a simple grilled cheese. That would be delicious in a grilled cheese. So let's move on to our final smoked cheese. This is our smoked cream cheese. So you might think when you smoke cream cheese it might become sort of melty. That's not the case. It actually seems to firm up and become a little bit crumbly. Obviously with cold smoked, but even I've hot smoked cream cheese before. It doesn't melt, don't be afraid. Pop it on the smoker, whack it on. I think I did it about, when I hot smoked last time, it was about 225. Totally fine, no melting. Anyway, enough of that. Cheers! Again, that's really delicious. You get that kind of sour tang of cream cheese, that's the first thing you get hit by. And then the smoke comes in, and then you've just got that wonderful kind of smoky creaminess going on your palate. Again, it's just enhanced it. You know what cream cheese is like. I'm sure you can imagine what it's like smoked. That's what it's like. It's exactly like that. It's a delicious, smoky, creamy, slightly sour experience. That's going to make a good cheesecake. But again, it'd just be nice, maybe with a little bit of smoked salmon on a bagel or something. You can make that as simple or as complex as you want. So, you know, let it speak for itself on a bagel. pop it in a cheesecake, as I said, or you know, many other applications where you might want to use cream cheese. It will work, but it will be like the best cream cheese you've ever used. Let's see what Mrs. Wizard thinks.
Wow, that has really taken on the smoke more than any of the others. Yeah, that is really powerful. You don't need much of that.
I agree.
I think, as you said, like on a sort of cheese and biscuits, I think that definitely needs to be in something rather than on its own. But again, because I'm not a big fan of smoked cheese, I'm not a massive fan of sort of cream cheese either, so it's probably the worst combination. That's my least favourite, but it's the strongest. But I think if you use that in a recipe where you've done a lot of things with cream cheese, is it the sausage poppers that you did that you used cream cheese? That I think would work really well in those, because yeah, that in some brats I think would be delicious, or on a burger.
So yeah, Mrs. Wizard's right. We did do sausage poppers video a few months ago now, and actually using that cream cheese would have been next level. I'll link that in the description, that video, so you can see what we did, how to do it. And if you want to then smoke your cream cheese and make it even better than it probably was in the videos, I do highly recommend you do that. This is the only one that me and Mrs. Wizard have any kind of slight disagreement on, I think, because I think that would work on its own, as I said, on a bagel or on a cracker or something. But again, I do agree that adding it to something, whatever that something might be, would definitely take it to the next level. And if you are kind of timid around smoke flavours, that might be a bit too much. Again, I agree that it's the most smoky cheese of all the ones we've tried here.
It's very rich. It's very rich, so I think that's why I think on its own. I mean, if you were having it on a bagel or things like that, or you know, some crisp breads or something like that, or on a sandwich, I think having something else with it, like a sweet sort of fresh sort of tomato, or something else that would cut through that richness. I think that's why maybe it is my sort of, I don't know, my stomach just, I wouldn't be able to eat much of that.
Yeah, like Mrs. Wizard said, she's not a huge fan of smoked cheeses anyway normally, so the fact that she's entertaining different ways in which this could be used, again, I think suggests this is a win for the smoked cream cheese. But let us know what you think. You know, if you're going to try this, hit the comments and tell us what you tried, tell us what you think, tell us how you've used the cheeses, or just tell us, you know, what your ideas are. We really like to hear from you. We do respond to most comments, so yeah, please let us know. Speaking of comments and responses and that kind of thing, we're all over social media at the moment, so you can find us on Facebook, you can find us on Instagram, find us on TikTok, and our Substack currently has got the vast majority of recipes that we cook here in the shack. So if you want to break down ingredient by ingredient, step-by-step methods, all that kind of good stuff, you'll find that on our Substack, and it's free to subscribe right now. It won't be forever, but right now it is, so do take advantage of that. I highly recommend. Obviously, as I've said before, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the notification bell so you never miss out on a video, and please consider giving the video a like and sharing it. It massively helps us, and we really appreciate it, and it really helps the algorithm get to know that you want to see more of our content. So, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to wrap these back up. We're going to be making some delicious recipes using these smoked cheeses over the next few days, so watch this space, and we look forward to seeing you next time.